It's theCUBE, covering HPE Big Data Conference 2016. Now, here are your hosts, Dave Vellante and Paul Gillen.
Welcome back to the Boston waterfront, everybody. This is theCUBE, SiliconANGLE's special presentation of the HPE Big Data Conference, hashtag Seize the Data. Keenan Rice is here, he's the Vice President of Alliances and Channels at Looker. Keenan, good to see you, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So, we're talking about Vertica, the momentum in the marketplace. You see a lot of stuff happening in big data, not all of it's good, but seems like Vertica's pretty solid. Growth continues, a lot of customer momentum. What's your take?
Yeah, I really couldn't agree with you more. I think Vertica's really solidly positioned themselves in the market as kind of the best big data software that can be deployed anywhere, right? It can be deployed on-prem, hyper-converged, hybrid, cloud, whatever, right? And so we're seeing that across our customer base at Looker as well. Petabyte scale workloads going anywhere they want to deploy with all the kind of best in breed analytics stuff.
So Vertica, a big emphasis on cloud. You guys are kind of born in the cloud.
Yep.
Really is sort of your ethos. What's happening there? A lot of people were saying, no, everything's going to be on-prem, and then all of a sudden, wow, the customer conversations have changed, haven't they?
Yeah, I think with any new change, it's you got to get over your fears, right? So whether they're regulatory fears, whether they're just general control fears, right? And we've really seen that shift tremendously from every industry in our customer base, from healthcare, to retail, to obviously born in the web companies staying in the cloud. And they're going there, and they're going to continue to go there at probably a faster rate than they did in the past too.
So this is a big show for you guys. You guys are major sponsor. You won the hackathon last year.
2 years running,
yes.
actually.
Oh, that's right, 2 years in a row. So give us the update on Looker.
Yeah, we've continued to just keep growing really, really fast. Last year about this time, we were about just over 100 employees, about 250 customers, just starting to go international. Now we're about 250 employees, over 700 customers. Big office now in London, probably looking to expand into APAC. Did a good $40 million round of funding with Kleiner back in February. So yeah, we're pedal to the metal here.
Yes, you've raised almost, close to 100 million now,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
so
98.
Yeah, so that helps you with the international expansion. Your software, you think of this capital efficient business, but to compete, you got to go channels, you got to go global, you got marketing expense against the big guys, so.
Yeah, yeah, so obviously, raising that money, definitely helps us put fuel on the fire, and then that SaaS business model really helps us perpetuate and make that money go a lot further.
Right. Got a lot of players in this market. You got Tableau, you got Burst, you got you guys. Why do customers bring in you against those others?
Yeah, it's if I would look back 4 years ago and say, do I want to enter a space as a startup in a completely hyper-competitive space, I probably wouldn't choose this.
Get into the BI business,
yeah. Probably not going back to the BI business, right? But I think we fundamentally had the right time, right place with the right idea, right? Which was companies like Vertica, the cloud, all these things, the big data trend, the idea of storing as much data as possible, getting it all together and figuring out what to do with it later. That opportunity is what we kind of rode on, right? So we built the company from the ground up to be cloud native, 100% in database, leverage the growth and innovation that's happening in the data storage layer, and be that thing on top of it to make the organization be able to describe their data, have a single source of the truth, and then let everybody else find it, access it, do their own data discovery, embed it into portals, integrate it, do whatever they would like to do with the data. So the in-database architecture, the born of the web thing, really, really kind of helped us solidify against the other players in the market.
And the gap between sort of Excel and Oracle or SAS is just so enormous. Is it fair to say you guys are, with Vertica, tucking in there, really solving a lot of problems that can't be solved with Excel and too expensive to solve with those other solutions and too cumbersome?
It's exactly right. I think the Vertica Looker solution is that next-gen business intelligence platform, right? The first wave might have been the Teradata MicroStrategy, right? And I think the next wave, really looks like the Vertica Looker world, right? Petabyte scale, transform data at query time, let everybody analyze it and do whatever they want to do with the data.
We see the Watson platform sort of changing people's thoughts about the role of machine learning in doing these kinds of analytics. Are you seeing other platforms emerge that as machine learning libraries are now open source from several of the major players? Is that becoming a major factor in how you continue to develop your product?
I think the continuous trend in the kind of operationalization of machine learning and things like this is actually only showcasing how much more powerful our architecture is in this new world. So we have a tight relationship with IBM, and we do some really interesting stuff with Watson, with machine learning and that kind of thing. And it's really cool because data is not just the relational business data now, right? It's the sentiment analysis, it's the sensor data. It's all these things that when you start applying machine learning algorithms, you enrich that data, you write that back down in the database. Now you can actually give tremendously more rich context analytics for a normal business user. Right?
Talk about your business a little bit, because you're on a growth trajectory. You're seeing a lot of companies in the general big data space struggling a little bit. Saw Platfora, get taken up by Workday, and that was sort of a had to happen move. You guys have a different story, different narrative.
Yep.
Tell it.
Yeah, we're heads down, kind of trying to build the best, next gen business intelligence platform. Whether we're going to do that as an individual company, for the foreseeable future, whether we're going to do that as a department, we're really just trying to build that next gen BI tool and really help our customers succeed with data. It's really telling, I think, in the customer acquisition, for sure, right? Well over 100 plus customers quarter over quarter coming to the Looker platform. Usage across each customer base, something I think is like 60% of the employees in the organizations usually get access to Looker. They start using Looker on a daily basis. It's almost as prevalent as email in a lot of these organizations, right? You have email on one screen, you have Looker on the other screen. So I think the fundamental usage, the change of philosophy in the organization around really becoming data-driven is driving our growth, right? And we're just going to continue to help our customers be successful at that and become more data-driven in that sense.
Well, and we're really kind of 6 years into the bromide of becoming data-driven, and now it's the better part of a decade, so it's actually happening.
It's realizing for sure 100%.
Visualization's a big part of that, being able to interact with your existing database. SQL is something you guys bet on early, right?
SQL, retro hip.
Yeah, right. It used to be kind of boring at parties, but now it's it's all the rage.
Yeah. I mean, it was very interesting. I think timing was definitely fortuitous to us, but our founders, they fundamentally believed wherever the big data world was going to go, SQL is always going to be the lingua franca for analytics, right? And we really saw a minor shift to see if you could do it without SQL. And then it realized, it all came back to SQL is the lingua franca for analytics.
Are you seeing new industries emerge or interest growing in any particular industries faster than others now?
Man, data, it's been shocking. I mean, obviously we had a big initial growth with born of the web companies, right? With Ubers and Etsy's and all these companies that are really born data driven, born of the web and all of this. But we've started to see it from financial services, healthcare, nonprofits, banking, et cetera. So it's it's across everything.
Keenan, you talked about essentially getting a foothold in an organization, and then the number of the usage explodes. What are the roles that you're seeing in terms of adoption for your solutions?
Yeah, so we target going into the organization with the BI team, right? In the IT organization, so also retro hip for the world of SaaS, right? They always try to disintermediate. We're like, no, let's make you more powerful. Let's give you the platform to then let everyone else succeed on top of this, right? So
very ServiceNow-like as it works, right?
Very much, very much. And it works extremely well, right? Because those are the folks that have the technical aptitude to really empower the organization. As long as you give them the platform to then empower everyone and not make them the gatekeepers of the information. So that's been a philosophy of ours for the development of the product. And then we see it across all departments. Marketing is usually a huge user of data, right? They're doing really sophisticated analysis like customer journey stuff, sentiment, digital marketing, campaign attribution, all this kind of really cool stuff. We see finance, really diving deeper into the numbers than they may have in the past, with just looking at reports or spreadsheets. They're really getting into the details at petabyte scale data, which is a pretty cool change that I've seen shift. Supply chain, inventory management, even IT teams actually using it to manage infrastructure and monitoring and this kind of thing. So, it's really going across every department.
Let's talk a little bit more about competition. You seem to find a good swim lane relative to some of the cool upstarts.
Yep.
I guess Oracle, you worry about because they're so big, but it's Oracle, right?
Yeah.
They get their red stack, okay.
Yeah.
Microsoft's doing some interesting things. You got Power BI coming in, and you got this new cloud ethos.
Yep.
What do you make of Microsoft as a competitor?
Yeah, no, they've been extremely successful with the revamp of Power BI. Power BI is definitely riding on the success of Azure as well, right? So we're top tier partners with Azure. We see tremendously large and innovative workloads going to Azure as well. So that platform is really matured quite nicely. With Power BI, I think they've really focused on the self-service visualization aspect, right? So them, Tableau, AWS, QuickSight, Click, et cetera, they're all really competing, and they've started to really define out that self-service, individual or small team workload, right? We've continued to kind of stay in if you want to take a little bit of a larger investment, you want to actually do this organizationally, you want to deploy it to everybody, you want to kind of take that traditional BI approach and really modernize it with your next gen data infrastructure stack, and still give everybody self-service, but do it on this larger platform. That's kind of the swim lane we've really established.
That's a transformative sell in many regards. So what's that narrative like? Who are you typically selling to in the IT organization, and how are you making that transformative business case?
Yeah, so it's selling into the BI and the analytics teams. And it's really the whole idea of empowerment. It's your business users are hungry for information. Your previous tools are becoming the gatekeeper. We call this a lot of times the data bread line. You're making your business users stand in line and beg for information. So get out of the way. Allow everybody to have access to free market goods, right? And that's the organization's data.
Right, okay, go ahead, please.
You're taking on a big training task there, though, as well, and BI organizations have traditionally done a lot of the work themselves for users. You're talking about democratizing this. Mm-hmm. What kind of a task are your customers taking on when they seek to democratize information like this?
Yeah, it's going to look like a spectrum, right? We have a very large and growing younger workforce that is very data savvy, kind of from the beginning, right? Data and computers and things like that are part of their DNA, right? And then we have other parts of the workforce that might not be as data savvy and pick it up really, really quickly, right? So we have a really interesting curriculum, and our customers adapt to it really easily, where the entry point might be a dashboard, and they might only click on this link in their intranet every single day, go to the dashboard, click on a few data points, drill into some details, maybe change some filters, and that might be it. But that's the access of information that they need from the BI team, right? And then others might need to build their own dashboards, to go build their own reports, to do more ad hoc discovery. And so then they easily can just click through and go into it, or we set up what our BI teams call explorer sessions, and they help them learn the functionality and the kind of how do you ask questions of data, the curiosity-driven kind of approach. It's a really kind of easy curriculum. We help with them. And then you get analysts and business users and stuff that start going really crazy and integrating it to R, or integrating it into other business applications, and really starting to do advanced workflows with the UI.
So this is starting to come into focus for me anyway, is Microsoft cheap and cheerful, okay, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Tableau's ascendancy...
You said it, not me.
But Tableau's ascendancy was built upon denigrating your peeps,
yes.
the BI teams, basically saying slow and cumbersome, and you don't want to hang out with these. You're going and empowering that BI team, saying transform, very ServiceNow-like, and which is extremely powerful because they're in a position to permeate the organization, support it. If you make them heroes, good things can happen. So I didn't understand that before about Looker.
No, I mean, the BI team, those are our peeps for sure. I mean, that's who we are at Looker, right? And we want to make sure that they're successful.
So you get advocates that are, selling internally to the extent that you can make them successful.
I mean, come on, data's hard.
It's hard.
These guys are not just dead weight. I mean, they're extremely, extremely smart, right? So how do you leverage them across the organization?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, and they're dying for new challenges that aren't just fixing the enterprise data warehouse.
They don't like to build reports.
Your analytics in the cloud, you have to get the data in the cloud first. What progress are you seeing right now on customers actually moving large amounts of data to the cloud?
Much more progress than I would have actually expected so quickly. We still see, we see a lot of the born of the web companies, right, that have the petabyte scale that just kind of was born in the cloud, right? So that was quite easy for them, right? And then we start seeing a lot larger of the Fortune 500 companies moving to the cloud at a faster rate, right? They're still looking at multi workloads on-prem and cloud, or some sort of hybrid in between. But they're getting terabytes and terabytes and even petabytes up there pretty quickly. And they're ascribing to the new philosophy, which is, your next gen infrastructure is store everything, get it up there, and let's figure out what to do with it later. But don't get too cumbersome and burden yourself with doing multi-year structured data kind of approach like you would have done in the past. Like, not just shifting your data, but also shifting your data philosophy.
Excellent.
Eamon O'Neill said this morning that people don't remember his exact quote, but copying data is a bad thing.
Yeah, friends don't let friends copy
friends
data.
Friends let their friends copy data. Are you seeing, is that part of your philosophy, is to work with the production data?
For sure. Yeah, it could be, it could be a simple
Right.
replication of the production. We'll obviously never connect to the production database, right? Unless you're doing some, mixed workload kind of database itself. But yeah, copy the data over, augment it, write data to it that comes from, any sources, business applications, sensors, Internet of Things, production databases, whatever. Just get it all together there and leave it there, right? Let us leverage the power of the database by doing that transformation at query time rather than transforming it, copying it, transforming it, copying it, transforming it. And then all of a sudden, now you have data lineage problems, you have this data heritage, and you have all these problems that are manufactured, right? They shouldn't actually exist.
Sells a lot of storage.
Yeah, it sure does.
Exactly. Yeah, it sells a lot of Vertica, it sells a lot of storage, but those things are becoming cost effective. We see that is a cost effective and a business effective approach at petabyte scale. So there isn't quite an argument to do the latter half these days.
So what should we look for from Looker, going forward? What's on the horizon?
So we have a big event that we're doing in October. So it's going to be our first conference, our first user event. So hopefully we'll have you guys there.
Where is that?
It's going to be in New York, October 17th and 18th, or 18th and 19th. Thank you.
That's huge.
Yeah, so hitting the critical mass, so that's really exciting. We have some really exciting initiatives that we're going to announce there. The next gen of Looker is going to be announced there. I can give you a little bit of a sneak peek. It's the idea of Looker being a data platform rather than just being a BI tool, right? So the idea of being a data platform is this is the central place for people to manage their data, to govern their data, to describe their data, and then allow the data to go into context for the end user. So whether that's our BI application, it could be our data apps initiative that we launched back in April, where it's pre-created templates of analytics. So whether that's customer journey analysis or sales analytics or customer success management tools, that's the data apps program. So that could be one thing. Could be our Powered by Looker initiative. So building custom applications or embedding into third-party applications. Or it could even be our data in context, or what we call data everywhere, which is like using our Slack bot. So you might live in Slack and communicate a lot, and so you can actually be leveraging Looker in real time, asking questions of the data, getting that in context, embedding Looker into Salesforce, and actually looking at it, pipeline analysis and other sorts of trends in real time in context of that, of that account, of that opportunity, et cetera. So this data platform thing is what we think is pretty revolutionary to allow those BI teams to build data experiences for their customers.
And that's the 18th, 17th, 18th, 19th in New York City. Where in New York City?
It's going to be at the Mercantile Exchange.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Right
Right over by
in
the
fact,
Javits.
we're going to have an event there in and right around the same time,
All right,
actually.
we'll warm it up
It's
for
close
you.
to the Javits, right across the street from Pillars 37, where we have our big event every year. So it's a great location. You're gonna love it.
Fantastic. Well, we're
All
looking
right.
forward to seeing you guys.
Good deal. All right, Keenan, thanks very much for coming
All right,
to
guys.
theCUBE. Really a pleasure seeing you.
Thanks.
All right, keep right there, everybody. Paul and I will be back with our next guest right after this short break.